In today's lecture, we are going to talk about Ansible Inventory. Then followed by we are going to just have a chit chat because SonarCube would be a, a, a single class. So I'm still preparing PPTs for that one. Maybe on Wednesday, I'm going to take SonarCube class. Then I think from my side, what is left out, Grafana and Prometheus is left out. I'm going to cover those once we complete Docker and Kubernetes. So from Monday, Praveen is going to take Docker and Kubernetes classes. Once he has completed, then again I will jump back and we'll discuss our Grafana and Prometheus. Then followed by projects we are going to do by using all these tools, whatever we learned in our course. So that's how it is planned. So that is the one update I would like to share. So, yep. First, let's start with the inventory. Then we'll discuss about what and all we learned so far. And if you need any help, whatever we have done, we are going to see in this week. Because once it is done, I will be disappear for 10 to 15 days. Not 10 to 15 days. He is going to take 3 weeks. Okay, so 3 weeks he is going to take. Almost I will not be available for next 3 weeks to discuss with you guys. So you should practice whatever we have covered so far and be ready for the DevOps and Docker and Kubernetes classes, right? So let's start with inventory. We are going to discuss if you have any questions at the after we completion of this Ansible inventory, right? So this is my Ansible server, and here I have my RHL server. So far what we are doing, we have just created a hosts file and we just created groups. You can see here, we created groups. Under groups, we kept our servers and start working on this one. And you can use more effectively your hosts file if you want, okay? Because hosts file also given, or instead of host file, I can call it as a inventory file. Inventory file also given lot of features if you want to use some variables or some customization for your system. So that is the advantage, sorry, that is the feature of inventory. If that is the feature of inventory to use in our playbooks. But so far we are just doing server details, or we are just keeping server details, and we are running our playbooks. But in real world, most of the cases it looks like this. We don't bring, or we don't what I can say, load with other variables or other features in the inventory. Usually we use the separate files like variables files we use to give the variables or to provide the variables. Let's go and see the documentation of Ansible variables. Sorry, not Ansible variables, Ansible inventory. So how to build your inventory? It is a very good documentation. You can just follow. So this is about Ansible documentary, and if you see here, the default inventory is a the default location for inventory is a file called /etc ansible hosts. As we discussed, this is the default inventory file. You can specify a different inventory file at the command line by using -i path. So this is how we are providing, right? So for whatever commands we are executing, Ansible playbook -i and followed by our hosts path we are giving, where exactly the hosts file or inventory file located, right? You can also use multiple inventory files at the same time and pull inventory from the dynamic or cloud sources or different formats. Okay, all this stuff, that's okay. Now this is the type we are using so far. You can see the inventory file can be in one of many formats. depending upon inventory plugins you have, the most common format are ini, nothing but inventory or YML. You can still write your inventory file in the YAML format as well. So if it is YAML, it would be little differ. Okay, but we mostly use the ini format. So here you can see this is how we are doing. We created our web servers and DB servers groups, and we kept passwords, sorry, IP addresses. Why we are using IP addresses? Because we don't have uh, host names for those one. Of course, we can use host names instead of IP addresses as well. Okay, this is the way we are defining at this moment. Next thing, you can see here default groups. There are two default groups, all and ungrouped. The all group consists every host, nothing but whatever servers are there in your hosts or inventory file. Whenever you specify all, it is going to take the all the inventory. Next one is ungrouped also is there. Group contains all the hosts, doesn't have another group aside from all. Means you can add few IP addresses without groups as well. Then whenever you say ungrouped, then it is going to call which is not specified in the any group. Next, hosts in multiple groups. So this we have already tried. We can create a single host can be part of multiple groups. Okay, this child one you can ignore. This is YAML format they have defined. So childrens are there that we don't require. We don't deal with those much. But we can do the DB servers. He defined in the, again it is a YAML format, but usually we specify the DB servers and the hosts information. Next, adding range of hosts. This is another way of using hosts. Assume that you have the same pattern. If you have lot of hosts with similar pattern, you can add them as a range that listens each mission specifically. So here assume that you have www 01 dot example dot com, 02 dot example dot com, 03 dot example dot com, like that up to 50 you have. Then rather than independently specifying those names, you can keep it like this: 01 colon 50. If you give, it will take 0 to 50. Let's execute similar kind of example over here. So assume that I have hosts. Yeah, here I'm going to take, okay, 120, 100 to 126, something like this. 100 colon 126. So whenever I say this one, it is going to try to, this also come under to the same range, right? So it is 100. So come under to the same range. So let's save this one, and it is app servers. App servers I'm giving, it should try to connect almost 26 servers, 0 to what I can say 126. Among them, whatever servers are reachable, it is going to connect to those systems. Anyway, most of our servers are down. It may or may not connect. You can see here, it is trying to connect each server. Okay, it connected only one server. That server is up and running. Okay, let local host server it's connected. Why? It is because of, okay, local host also come under to this group, so it is connected to the local host server. That's okay. So this is how we can use if we have the range of systems. Even instead of numbers, you can specify the alphabetic orders as well. Assume that you will have www.a.example.com, b.example.com. Same thing we can do somewhere. Yeah, you can see here db a colon f, from A to F. You have servers, you can connect to this one. Next one is this is another one, adding variables to the inventory. So I was talking about we can add variables to our inventory as well, right? So this feature also is available. Here we can add our variables something like this: host name, okay, HTTP port, what is the port number of your application. In this system, the HTTP port number, you need to use this one. So in our Ansible playbook, we use the HTTP port as a variable, and we are passing this HTTP variable port while what I can say, while through the hosts file, and also max requests per child. You can specify how many requests you can send it to this particular server and how many requests you can send it to this particular server. Something like this you can define, but these variables are should be follow the same methodology. Okay, sorry, not this one, this one. Okay, so this kind of variables you need to follow the same methodology. If you see, you can store variable values that relate to specific hosts or group in a inventory. To start with, you may add variables directly to the hosts and groups in your in your main inventory file. As you add more and more managed nodes, as you add more and more managed nodes to your Ansible inventory, however, you would likely want to store variables in a separate hosts or group variables files. So if you are adding more, you need to add the separate host and group variables file. But anyway, so variables we are going to define in another way. I'm just going to discuss in a couple of minutes. But this is how we can define variables also inside the inventory file. And this is quite commonly we use. Okay, if I want to do some activities on my local system, I use the local host and also Ansible connection local. So this is what we are going to use. Let me try to do this one in our hosts file. Wherever local host is there, we will specify the connection, Ansible connection local. And this must be a, what I can say, uh, predefined variable. You cannot change this name. Whenever you give the Ansible connection, then only it will treat it as a local. So what do you mean by local is, whenever you try to access Ansible variable, sorry, Ansible, whenever you try to execute Ansible file, it is going to go through with the proper steps, nothing but it treat it as a different system. For example, if I am trying to do some activity on this system, whenever you do something, it copy the modules onto the system. For example, I'm doing copy module or get copied into the target system and execute it, then remove those modules. But whenever you do this connection local, it won't do that additional activity, copying modules, because anyway, so modules are available in the local system. That's why, sorry. So modules are available in the local system. So it use the Ansible connection local option. You cannot specify the same thing for the servers which you want to do on the outside of your Ansible system. Only it helps with the local host or else the local IP address of your system. Right? That's how we define, and you can validate it by just executing your again ping command, but I'm going to do it on all. Okay, just for testing. You can see here only, okay, that is database server. You can see somewhere local host system, and it is going to, oops, we haven't removed previous example. Yep, you can see here local host, it's connected, but it could be quite faster if it is a lengthy playbook. Now you cannot see that difference. I'm just removing this one, or else I can give 100 to 100, 106. Just let it be. Okay, next thing is you can see here Ansible connection SSH. SSH for remote systems. Usually this is the default service which we use. So it doesn't require explicitly to specify, but you can specify Ansible username. In our case, we are using Ansible username as ANS admin, right? If you have some other username for some systems, in future, if we are using Docker, we may create a Docker admin user, or if we are using Kubernetes, there is a admin user. We need to use those users as a Ansible users. If you don't want to create the dedicated user, then you can specify that one by giving the Ansible user parameter variable, sorry, so that whenever I connect to this system, it is going to use this username rather than default username. Okay, whatever username you are connecting. Similar way, here also you can give something like this. All right. Next, inventory alias. If you want to give alias name, in our case, we are just specifying the IP address, right? So instead of giving IP address, I can give the Ansible host IP address. Then I can give the name of this one. So let's take this example. Assume that I have RHL server here, right? I want to give the same name in my inventory file. Then what I can do, I can edit this inventory file. I can give over here. This is our RHL server. So RHL server, and it doesn't require the Ansible port number. We are using the same port number. If you are changing rather than 22, if you are using some other port number, you need to change it. Then you need to provide your Ansible host parameter and provide the IP address of your Red Hat system. Okay, so this is how we can define, and I can give cat hosts Ansible. This is web servers, right? Web servers minus I hosts minus m ping. I'm using just ping just to validate our inventory file is fine or not. That's it. You can see here, this time the name has came as a RHL server rather than the IP address. This is how you can rename your server name as well. So from now onwards, it will treat it as a RHL server means in the background, it is going to connect to this system, right? Next thing, this is group variables we can call. Yep, group variables. So group variables nothing but in these two systems, I want to give the same parameters. Then what I can do, I can give the group name. Here you can see here, group name colon vars. Group name colon vars nothing but for this group, apply these variables. Whenever I execute something on host 1, it takes these two variables, and also on host 2, it is going to take the same. If variables are same for all the nodes in this specific group, then you can use the group variables. Okay, assume that you have few other servers. For them, it could be another variables you want to pass. Then you can specify the another group name and variables, and you can specify another variables. Okay, so that is about group variables. And I think, yeah, this is for this one, southern, sorry, southeast variables. And children, we don't deal much here. Next one, yep, this is the one of the important way of defining the group vars, sorry, hosts and variables slash etc ansible group vars and followed by the your file name. Okay, even in my what I can say organization also, we are going to mostly use group vars whenever we write roles, and also host vars. I will tell you the difference between group vars and host vars. It is important concept. Let's take the example. We have written our Ansible playbook, right? So in the Tomcat setup. So here we have written Ansible playbook. Now instead of providing our hosts file, okay, hosts file is not here. Hosts file is here, right? But usually we will keep inside our role itself, not inside our role. We create a separate directory, something like this. CD Tomcat. What is this? All right, let me do the mkdir Tomcat role. Just I am giving Tomcat role, and I will move all my content Tomcat related one to here. Okay, so Tomcat role, under Tomcat role we have a Ansible playbook as well as role. So I can run this Ansible playbook now, right? So Ansible playbook. I need to give the inventory file. So here what we usually do, we will create one more directory called inventory. One more directory called inventory. And if you see here, this is the role, this is the playbook, this is the inventory. Under inventory, we can create group wares. Again, group wares is a directory. Group underscore wares. So here we have group wares, and also we have hosts file. Here we can specify list of the hosts web servers. Okay, RHEL server, and the IP address of RHEL server is this one. Ansible hosts, right? Is it the parameter? Yep, Ansible host IP address. Then I'm going to take one more IP address. Something like this we define. Usually instead of web servers, we will have the prod, something like this. Dev. Next, test. Next, I'm giving some IP address 14, 15, something like this, and then prod. Usually we can create it like this, or else we can create separate folders for each one. 16, 17, something like this we are going to create. Okay, so here we have group wares and host wares. Now, if I want to give the common variables or common values for all these systems, then I can specify in the group wares. I will go inside to group wares. Here we usually create all. Okay, group wares all, one more directory, and under all you can create your variables. Assume that I want to give the username. For all the systems, username is same. Let's take a example called va username dot yml. Okay, yml is option again. So Ansible user ans admin. We want to give ans admin. Next, http underscore port colon 80. Don't give hyphen for variables. Hyphen doesn't work. Like this, it doesn't work. Okay. Like this, you can specify all your variables over here, and we call it as a group varies. Why we call it as a group varies? For all our systems, the variables is common. All our systems variables is common. I'm just executing tree. How does it looks? Under group varies, again we create all. Under all, we can create multiple files for multiple variables. Now these variables are called while executing on this host file, and these variables again optional. If you are giving variables in your Ansible playbook itself, then sorry, yeah, Ansible playbook itself, those are going to have the highest priority than this one. It's like a default ones again. Okay, and if you specify here and as well as on defaults, defaults will overwrite with this one. It will have little highest priority comparatively default variables. Okay, so this is how we can specify variables in the inventory file. So if you see here, all this is talked about inventory only. And if I go outside and tree, if I do, we have inventory. Under inventory, we have two files, sorry, one directory and one file. File name is hosts and directory name is, so group name is wars. Under wars we have all and username. So this is how you need to define your group variables. Okay, similar way we have host variables, cd inventory, and if I go inside to group wars, sorry, not group wars, here you can specify host wars. We create mkdir host underscore wars, hosts or host wars. Okay, here what do? We will under hostwares, we can specify the host name of each system. Okay, so for example, I want to specify only specific variables for this system. Then I can create a group with this particular username. Sorry, with this IP address, or what I can say, with this host name. For example, for RHEL, I want to give the dedicated variable, something like this. I want to change Tomcat port 8090, something like this I want to do. Now what will happen whenever I run my Ansible playbook? Okay, whenever I run my Ansible playbook, uh, for hosts, whatever default variables required, it will take from the group wheres. Then you have the customized variables only for the specific server. Means if I do cat host file slash server name, okay, server name, and this must be a server name here. This must be a server name. You need to create with the server name a file you need to create, and under server name you should provide your variables. So what does it do? Whenever we are running Ansible playbook on RHEL server, it will take the variables from this file, and whatever is not, whatever still required, those it will call from the group vars and execute the Ansible playbook. For remaining systems, there is no host vars in this particular directory, so it will go and take it from the group vars itself. All right, so that's how hostwares will work. So let's do what we can do. Some variables we are using in our, sorry, Ansible playbook, right? I will change, I will provide those from the group wheres and will execute our Ansible playbook. This is our Ansible role where we are using defaults, cat defaults main. Okay, what we are specifying, you can see here user underscore name modi we are providing. So I don't want to give the modi name. Then what I can do, I can provide in the group wheres. Okay, so I will copy this variable name. I'm just going to show you, even though how the inventory file get fixed up. Group wheres, okay, cd all. I'm going to give, okay, username.yml is there. So this is what I'm posting, and I'm giving Priyanka. All right, so now let's what I can say, vi hosts. I'm going to create a separate group for our RHL. Anyway, dev is there. I'm going to execute it on a dev system. Okay, so now Ansible playbook -i. Okay, our host file is inventory hosts, right? This is the our inventory file, and our playbook name is tomcat role.yml --limit. Okay, and dev group. I'm going to execute only on dev group. So let's execute with C option. What it is saying. Okay, sorry, yeah. Vi in the inventory file we have given Tomcat, right? So it is looking for the Tomcat group. So it should be all. Now let's execute our Ansible playbook, giving dev, and we'll see what happens. Ignoring dev. It is hosts. You can see here now it is executing on RHEL. Okay, it is creating user called Mark. Why? Because we have given in the variables file. So we should not give the variables file. So what we are going to do is tomcat setup and I'm going to remove wars. Okay, lot of stuff is there. Here I'm going to only remove the wars, sorry, username. Okay, these also we should provide in the group wars itself, not in the variables, but let it be for time being. Now let me execute it again. So I'm executing only on RHEL system. Oops, I need to come out. Yep, let's execute again. Now you can see here it is creating a user called Priyanka. From where it has been picked up is from the group wars, not from the what I can say default variables file. Okay, so this is how we can define our group wars. So I'm going to explain one more time. So what we have done is we have created a inventory file. Under inventory file we have group wars. Under group wars we have given a again all. Under all we have username.yml where we have specified our username, and whatever another variable has given, if it is called from our playbook it is going to execute, otherwise it won't get execute, right? So this username is picking up. So I haven't specified that you should go to the group wars and pick it up, right? What I have executed Ansible playbook, I just specified the inventory. I need to come out Ansible playbook -i inventory hosts. I specified the hosts. This is hosts. Then what I have done, playbook name and sorry, tomcat underscore role, then minus limit. Okay, I have given RHEL server. Instead of RHEL server, we can give dev as well. Nothing but a dev group it is going to act, and -c. So this is how we have provided, and you can see here it is connecting to two systems because in dev group we have two systems, and it is using the Priyanka username because Priyanka username is updated in the group wars. Okay, here we have updated. Okay, that's how the group wars will take. And if I give the some other name in the uh, host swear, then it prefers to the host swears. So let's go and update the host swear. Okay, here we have with server name. So what is the variable name? Username Priyanka, right? So it will have the priority. So I'm taking username Priya instead of Priyanka. I'm giving Deepika. Now let's execute again. Come back to your Tomcat role and Ansible, and let me execute the same command this time. For while executing RHEL, you can see here it has taken the host swears, not the group wars, even though group wars have the some other username. That's how the host wars and group wars does work. But trust me, it will come with the lot of practice because I have taken very long time to understand and work on the group wars and host wars. But if you understand the variables, how does it work? Just you need to create the structure, and you just need to keep under host wars and group wars. There is no restriction under group wars, nothing but you can create a group wars. Let me give the tree. So under group wars, wherever whatever you want to do, even all also not required. Okay, you can directly provide your variables. Still, group wars variables are picked up. But whenever you are giving host wars, you must remember that file name should be with the server name. Okay, otherwise it cannot pick up these changes. All right, that's how That's how group vars and host vars does work. And this is how we usually defines the inventories when we run the roles. And mostly in the real world, we write Ansible roles rather than the playbooks.